For us.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen this person before in my life.
Yeah. You know how many times people have I do not know her. I've been denied way more than 3 times in the garden, let me tell you.
Ouch.
What?
I don't know.
Bryan, are you all right there, buddy?
I didn't mean it like that.
I don't know what you meant by the garden. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, don't even try, or just don't let it go. Just
really? You didn't get my please tell. Did I make an incorrect reference?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Talking about the Garden of Eden, Aaron.
Yeah. No. I'm not talking about the Garden of Eden. I'm talking about when oh my God, you're gonna make me get scripture wrong live on air. Didn't Jesus tell someone in the garden that you would, before the night's over, you'll deny me 3 times?
Oh, yeah. He told Peter that. Yeah, it wasn't.
That was actually at the Last Supper before he went to the garden. Yes. Before the cock crew 3 times.
Okay.
Well, she's Catholic.
I got close. I'm close. Man, jeez.
Oh gosh!
Holy cow,
Mike,
Mom,
if you're listening,
it's okay.
We're not live right now,
Mom. It's okay. It's okay.
It was a joke. It was a joke. we got to share how I thought Mike Church sent me a friend request on Facebook.
It was the wrong Mike Church.
It was the total wrong Mike Church.
You're like, Mike Church sent me a friend request. I'm like, oh, that's
kind of cool. Like, I'm so cool.
Bride's like, I'm so cool, and then it's some weirdo.
It's not a weirdo. It's a mutual friend from somebody. I guess.
Did you message him immediately? Be like, hey, thanks for letting me be on the radio station.
No, I didn't. But I thought, man, that's well. What was funny is he was friends with a couple of the other bishops in the church, and I'm like, what? How do these guys know each other? Because these are like diehard Pentecostal, born and bred prenatal Church of God guys. How in the world do they know some Catholic guy from down in Louisiana? And so I just reached out to him. I was like, how do you know Mike? And he's like,
50 seconds.
He's like, yeah, we grew up and went to church in Louisville together. And I'm like,
look at Roger's comment.
I don't think that's right.
Don't Catholics' hands burn if they actually open a Bible?
I didn't say that. That was not me. Wow.
Good morning, Roger.
Free speech. All right, we've got, we're coming up on 25 seconds.
25 seconds.
So, did y'all hear that?
Did I hear what?
Yeah. Okay, never mind then. If you didn't hear it. Okay. All right. We got 10 seconds. Let's go dark. Welcome to the breakdown, everybody. This is Aaron Barker broadcasting from an undisclosed location deep behind enemy lines, asking the questions that get you kicked out of Bible study and sent to therapy. Thank you all for the opportunity to be in your vehicle, office, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, or doghouse, wherever it is you may be listening to the program today. We're so excited that you're here. A lot of stuff to talk about. Alex Murder-daugh, whatever his name is, he's a murderer, has been kid. We've also got some Am I the Jerk situations come, and as well as all the other frivolous news stories that we're going to cover today, plus bad theology and Whiskey Tango Fox coming up in the second hour. As always, you can join us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and we've got with us misinformation herself, Erica.
Good morning.
And the bearded pastor, Bryan.
What's up, folks? What's up?
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, I got my cheesy radio voice on.
Well, you got this going on, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. You can also, don't forget, you can be a part of the show today by heading over to breakdradio.com. Click on the mic in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can leave your sound off. We'll make you famous because we'll play it on the air. And then also, you can join the Crusader Stadium chat room as well by going to crusadechannel.com. The Crusade Channel, live radio the way it should be, broadcasting simultaneously over there, or simulcasting with them over there as well. If you're listening, I do have access to the chat today on my phone. For some reason, my computer, I'm going to have to clear my... I couldn't get into the chat room over at Crusade Channel, and I was trying to figure out the best way to do it, right? And I was like, well, maybe I just clear my browser history and clean it up and do that. And then I hovered over it for a second, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, if I clear this, everything is going to be signed out for me. And I'm like, I can just see me, all my show prep and every one of my websites being logged out of, and me trying to log back in while I'm doing the show. And I started panicking before it even happened. And I'm like, no. I almost broke my own finger.
This is Mac problems, because
it's not a Mac problem. It's a Google Chrome problem.
It's not a Google Chrome problem. I don't have any problems with that. I don't have any problems with that whatsoever.
I love how Bryan bases
Chrome, and it has all of my passwords, and I can clear my browser history anytime I want to.
I love how
so can I.
He proclaims that whether or not the problem is whether or not it works for him. Like, seriously, you have no idea how many times that's a problem.
Brian's one of those IT guys where he's always like, is it plugged in? Did you turn it on?
Hey, sometimes you have to ask the stupid questions to the stupid people. I'm just saying.
Oh, the great and glorious, I'm so much better than you IT attitude we have.
IT unwashed.
I could tell you stories.
Oh man,
do you remember that?
Even if I were interested, even if there was absolutely nothing else to talk about.
Do you remember the joke that was going around about the Coca-Cola company sending you the free Coke holder or the can holder, and you push the button and it opens up your CD-ROM?
No.
Oh my gosh, this was back at this was a long time ago.
This is like nerd memorabilia we're getting right now.
Crazy, right? So
I can't believe I'm getting any time to do this on the show right now.
There was this joke that went around. It was an email spam, and it said, click here for your free can holder. And so you click there, and your little CD-ROM drawer opens up. And people were actually setting their coffee mugs and their Cokes on their CD-ROM drive because they thought that was what it was. And they were breaking them.
Yeah, doesn't that at some point automatically close? Doesn't it just?
Sometimes it does. I guess I don't know. It depends on the manufacturer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I always thought it did. I'm not sure if it does or not. But anyway, let's go ahead and chum the waters here as we plumb the depths of the internet's fascinating accounts of this life and world. We go to, I believe it's South Carolina here, where Alec Murder-daugh murderer has been convicted of murdering his wife and children, a wife and son, as a matter of fact. He here is, let me go ahead and pull this up. There was so if those people that, that have lived under a rock and don't really know what this situation is, this family is a prominent South Carolinian heritage. They are prosecutors, I believe, or attorneys. They had their own law firm, and they are well known. Kind of one of those families that you fear, the political power family, where they were kind of ruling the roost in their own little kingdom down there. And there was all kinds of corruption, all kinds of craziness that had been following the family. There were mysterious deaths that have surrounded them within the recent I think it was like the past 6 years. A housekeeper died. There was a young homosexual man who was known in the community to be homosexual, that they thought was having a homosexual relationship with the son, the oldest son, and he was found dead in the middle of the road. And then there was a boating accident where his son's friend's girlfriend, if you can follow that, was killed in the boating accident. And then there was, about 100 other charges of fraud and theft, embezzlement, all of these things. The insurance fraud, he hired at one point somebody to kill him, and then I guess it was botched, or he decided at the end of it that he didn't want to die. Well, then his wife and son end up, the son that was, going to be on trial for the death of a young lady in a boating accident. He ended up being murdered, his son and his wife. And then they linked that, of course, to Alec, and his name's spelled Alex, but they linked it, but it goes by Alec. But here is the moment. So they walk into the courtroom, the day of the sentencing. This is pretty weird too. I mean, I know that I'm trained law professional because I watched The Practice years ago, and I used to watch a little
Well, that
bit.
means you should be able to pass the bar like today.
Yeah,
Dun,
I mean,
dun.
I'm sure I can. All I need is Bobby McDermott as my tutor and Jimmy Grunt.
Oh my God.
And I'm like Eric. I hear the whole bump in the
Dun,
background.
dun.
Well, that's Law and Order.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We're mixing. Well, we could play the Night Court theme because that would be more appropriate for this
That
show.
would be.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
I think I have a lesser intelligence than Bull has on that show.
Oh my God.
But anyway,
Yeah.
right before they were doing the sentencing, the jury, by the way, I've heard the jury deliberated for like 45 minutes, and then the paperwork took 3 hours. So the entire process was like 3 hours long before the guy found out that he was going to prison for murdering his wife. But anyway, they went ahead and did the sentencing as well. This is the moment that Alec Murdo is in the courtroom, and he addresses the court and addresses the judge, and it was a little tense. Here's this before the sentencing.
Morning, Your Honor. I'm innocent, would never hurt my wife Maggie, and I would never hurt my son Paw Paw.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This has been perhaps one of the most troubling cases, not just for me as a judge, for the state, for the defense team, as a member of the legal community and a well-known member of the legal community. You've practiced law before me, and we've seen each other at various occasions throughout the years. And it was especially heartbreaking for me to see you go in the media from being a grieving father who lost a wife and a son to being the person indicted and convicted of killing them.
And then there's
Again, I respect this court, but I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son Paw Paw.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been the monster you become when you take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 opioid pills. Maybe you become another person.
So that was that was right before the sentencing, and you heard that was another thing that came out in the trial was that, and I think this is also well known in the community. He was addicted to opiates. He was addicted to painkillers, and had some kind of prescription. That he was able to get in touch with a guy that he evidently had used to attempt to murder him so that he could give his wife so that he could give his family the inheritance, I'm assuming, was his drug pusher. So here's the actual sentencing of him as the judge laid that out. But you think about that. I mean, you're on trial for murdering, your wife and your son. I couldn't even imagine, I don't know. It's just, all of this is weird to me. I couldn't even imagine the thought entering into your mind to hurt your family or hurt your kids. But here's the actual sentencing where the judge lays down the law on Alec Murdo.
Mr. Murdo, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdo. I sentence you to the term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdo, whom you probably love so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive. Under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent crime, there is no sentence where a life sentence is imposed on other indictments. That is the sentence of the court, and you are remanded to the State Department of Corrections.
So the judge got personal during this as well. He was saying that he said, I'm sure that your son and her visit you every night. So I'm assuming he's talking about the thoughts that he has. And he says that their last time looking you in the eyes, they'll visit you while you're in prison and all this stuff. So I'm thinking, I'm like, wow, this is, the judge got this case. I think it was also because the son died, and get this, 40 years old, a prominent family themselves, the civil rights activist in the area, also 40 years old, guy drops dead of cardiac arrest. That's odd. And that recently
happened. Why wouldn't? Never mind.
I don't know why something like that. It's mysterious. I've never heard of anybody at that age, a young person like that, just dropping dead. No extenuating circumstances or anything. I mean, that's absolutely insane. But anyway, that's the Murder-daugh case. We watched a little bit of the testimony there on, obviously on YouTube. I think it was YouTube. I think we watched some of the testimony there. It was, I don't know. It was interesting to see all this stuff go down, because you do watch it on television and you see all these dramatic, cross-examinations and dramatic testimony, and it lasts like a minute and a half, and then boom, they've sealed the case. I mean, there was just hours and hours and hours of this. And I don't know. It was pretty interesting to watch, but this guy's going to jail for killing his wife and his son.
I mean, yeah.
It's
not to mention, like you said there and talk about how many times you would never hurt him, but you're calling him Pawpaw. That's pretty painful. I'd say that hurts. Like, come on. Why would you call your child Pawpaw? That's crazy.
Well, his name's Paul, and I think it was.
I know. That's just dumb. Don't say that in public.
Well, that would be like that would be like the crime family calling it Paulie. It's Paulie.
Yeah, at least that sounds tough. No, it's
Paulie
really
sounds tough. I don't know if that sounds tough or not.
Listen,
well, if somebody's like, it depends on how you say it. Like if you're like, hey, that's Paulie over there. I'd be like, okay, that guy, you don't mess with Paulie, because evidently Paulie's a bad dude. But somebody go ahead.
I'm sitting on the couch and somebody tells me Paulie's on his way over. I'm making moves. I'm making moves. Like, okay, yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
I guess whatever.
Well, the southern states are more affectionate, and they've got that southern drawl, so it's very, very for me at least, it's comforting, because my family, like we've talked about, my family's from the deep eastern Kentucky, so it's like hillbilly talk, but that southern accent, that doesn't bother me. I know some people think it sounds uneducated, but it's very gentlemanly, I think, and they're affectionate down there, and they call their kids, like we called my grandparents, it was Papa and Mama. We never called them grandfather.
Listen, my mom's whole family's from Louisiana. I have a gam. Like, there's that's it. I'm not against it, and I don't think it makes you sound any more uneducated than a Boston accent in reality. I mean,
it's more intimate. Boston, intimate,
But I time and place. I don't know. I just was like, somebody told him to say that. Somebody said it'll make you seem more endearing to the child if you call him by his nickname than by whatever. Like, no, I felt I'm like, that's Is there any question that he did this? No. Right?
See, I don't know. Because my questions were like, okay, did they get any gunpowder residue off of them? Was there, a gunshot residue? Because when you fire a weapon, that stuff, the residue stays on you, even though you wash up with soap or wash up with cleaner. That stuff can be detected. I think several days afterwards. So I mean, I don't know.
I heard the 911 call.
Yeah,
I heard. Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know the whole story, it's pretty convincing.
No, look, I'm just saying that there could be evidence. I'm surprised that somebody down there, his prominence probably played a role in this. But if you decide after 45 minutes, you had made your decision before you got up and left that room. You probably made your decision weeks ago when this trial started.
Right. But if you're talking about, that he was addicted to prescription painkillers or opiates or whatever that be, they're not going to let him actually claim that as his sole defense, because then that puts them in a bad way. They're like, drugs he was on, the prescriptions.
Yeah. Well, there was another thing. So the young lady who lost her life in the drunken boating accident of his youngest son, Paul, who was killed, says that justice has been served. Philip Beach, his daughter Mallory, was killed when Murdaugh's son, Paul, crashed the boat while he was driving in 2019. Watched from the back of the courtroom Friday as he was handed down 2 life sentences. When his brother, John Marvin, approached him to shake his hand after the hearing, he refused, replying, "I have nothing to say to you," according to the Daily Mail. Asked by reporters outside the court how he felt about Murdaugh's life sentence verdict, Beach replied, "I'm grateful justice has been served." And Beach declined to comment on whether he believed Murdaugh should have received the death sentence. And I think about that. Has justice been served for his daughter? Because justice was not the Alec Murdaugh didn't kill his daughter. His son was driving the boat where his daughter was killed. So he could look back and say, "Oh, well, Paul got what he deserved. He got
I mean, I
killed
don't not justice, but righteous justice. Yes, I mean that's a pretty well-handed piece of how you feel. How you like me now? You're done, right? Like that's a pretty harsh piece of justice.
Wow, you
Not the
guys
kind,
rough, man.
not the kind that you're getting in court, but you'd think her father would be like, yeah, well, now he's never going to get married or have the rest of his life or do any of the things that my daughter isn't going to be able to do because he took her life away. So dun dun dun, like, in that respect, there's justice. I know Alec didn't do it, but same fate.
Yeah, well, that's one thing about this that I always consider as well. God is a just and holy God. And there are times, I think I was talking to my daughter about this yesterday. There are a lot of people that use this as an apologetic. It actually happened on one of my Paranormal Files shows a few weeks ago that you all, I think, watched, where people are like, well, God in the Old
Brian,
Testament
he thinks we watch his
commanded
show.
the genocide.
I didn't say that. That was not me, Aaron. I didn't say that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thanks for the support, people. No, people are like, oh, well, God commanded the genocide of over 100 nations in the Old Testament. Well, what was the reasoning that God commanded that genocide? What was the reason God commanded those nations to be destroyed? You look at like the children of Israel, they were told that they would go and occupy the land of Canaan. God had given that to them as possession, right, as an inheritance, right? And the reason wasn't just because, hey, God spied out the land, did all the evaluations of the property, decided location, and went for that property and decided he wanted that, and then he had to check all the.
Don't do that.
What he did, he said that nation is sacrificed. They're living iniquitous life. They have not repented, and they're sacrificing their children to the god Moloch. Go wipe them out. Their sins are so great. Go wipe them out. And that was true on each of the situations. Now, God's justice was handed out to the children of Israel when they went through that nation and destroyed the majority of those people there because God told them to do that. That was his justice. And those people were getting what they deserved. And the fact that there are, quoting fingers, innocent people in the world, nobody's innocent. We've all broken God's holy law. We're all right now, as Jesus said in John chapter 3, we're all condemned already, right? Because we don't believe in Jesus Christ. So if somebody gets run over by a car, if a murderer is fleeing the police and a frozen block of urine from an airplane passing by falls through the roof of the car and kills him, that's God's justice. But just like Jesus told them regarding the Tower of Siloam, unless you all repent, do you think that those people were any worse sinners than you were? Unless you repent, you will all likewise perish. We all have that condemnation on us for death. And if God exercises that and decides to take our lives, he is not unjust in doing so at all. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Okay, let me move my soapbox. I moved it over here. I'm off my soapbox. God. But anyway, you don't get me started off quick here. You can sound off on this or other topics. Do you think that this was a just punishment for this? Do you think he should have gotten the death penalty? Do you think justice has been served for the young lady Mallory who was murdered who was killed in that boating accident? You can leave all that by going to breakdradio.com, clicking on the mic in the bottom right-hand corner, and we will play that on the show. Here's another one. I saw this, and the way this was presented was that people have an entitlement mentality. right? So this influencer is in a park and gets done. She's like a fitness influencer, and she gets done with her fitness influencer. She sets up a camera, and here's what happens in the exchange that occurs between her, or that goes down between her and another man that came and sat on a bench behind her.
Hi guys, so I've just been for my morning run, so I just ran 5k today. So I've been eating healthy, staying hydrated, but it's a bit hard and it's cold these mornings. But
Now, the things are blotted out. So what you have, for those who are listening and not watching, a young woman stops in front of a camera. There's a park bench behind her. And while she's doing her presentation for her influencers, for her followers, she's doing a live show. This dude comes and just sits down behind her, casually on this bench right behind her while she's filming. And she goes back to address him.
I'm just filming.
She says, "Excuse me, sir, I'm just filming. Are you all right to go to another bench?" And he goes, "And?"
Right, this is a bed that I sit on every day. So, there's plenty of room in this park, in the look. So, all you've got to do is just ask us for the camera around then. Come on, I'm just waiting for the phone call. No, it's not alright.
But like, you're on my live stream, everyone can see you.
Well, move. You move then.
I can't move because I love you.
The legs are sitting anyway, so I'm a little bit tired.
Come on, I'm asking you nicely.
I know, yeah, and I'm actually applying nicely.
You're going to be online now if everyone can see you. And you don't.
I don't care.
You're kind of ruining it all, isn't it?
What, do you mean my face is ruining your
They wanted to
shot?
see me in the shot, not you in the shot.
Behave yourself.
So they're not wanting to see.
So anyway, so you get the gist. So she goes to address this guy, and he's like, "Oh, my face is ruining your live shot, huh?" And she's asking him to move. Now, my question to you, Brian, and Mike,
you do a great impression of that, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you,
was
Brian. I appreciate that.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Appreciate the live on air endorsement there. It makes me feel really good.
I try.
So let's go to you, Brian, on this. Who do you think has the entitlement mentality here? You know what? Actually, hold on to that, and we'll address that when we get back. Just real quick. So we're broadcasting right now, simulcasting over on the Crusade channel. Live radio the way it should be. CrusadeChannel.com is the website, and you can also join us in the chat room over there. Right now, for everybody that's listening, the Crusade channel is giving away a new 2023 Kia Seltos and tickets to the John Wick 4 premiere.
Nice.
Now, entering that contest, I think I would want the John Wick tickets better. But if you listen to the Crusade channel every day from starting at 5 a.m., you'll hear the Mike Church Show, and they will give you the information. There is a keyword that they're going to give you beginning every weekday. I'm just going to read it here without going off memory. It says that Eastern, 5 a.m. Eastern with the Mike Church Show, and today's secret soundbite of the day. When you hear the sound played back later today, be the appropriate number caller, and your Golden Truth ticket is free. You'll be entered to win there. All the proceeds go to the Crusade Radio Guild, a nonprofit registered in the great state of Louisiana. So head on over to CrusadeChannel.com, click on the banner, or use the QR code to enter for a chance to win a Kia and John Wick 4 tickets. We'll be back in just a minute.
Asking the questions that get you kicked out of Bible studies and sent to therapy.
You're listening to The Breakdown.
Hi, it's Doc Thompson for Matthew 25 Ministries. Matthew 25 Ministries is one of the few charities I'll actually endorse because I know them. I've worked with them. I know money that you donate goes to help people. Go to m25m.org, m25m.org.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for for was a publisher who was honest and upfront. No hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
What? Didn't see you there. I was busy eating this delicious meal from preparewithmojo50.com. You look hungry. Do you want some? Of course you do. Get your own. You can go to preparewithmojo50.com. That's preparewithmojo50.com. You can't have mine.
Welcome back to the breakdown, everybody. Thanks for staying with us during that break. So, Brian, during the break, I went over to crusadechannel.com. I logged into the chat room and it via an incognito chat, right?
Right.
So if I did that with incognito on Google and it logged in and I was on my Mac, it wouldn't be a Mac problem, wouldn't?
No, that would probably be a plugin somehow.
Oh, here we go with the plugins.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
That
happens a lot in Google Chrome with plugin issues.
All right, so let's get back to this here. We were talking about this young lady who's an influencer. She goes up to try to do her daily live after she does her exercise, and she sees an older gentleman that sits on a bench behind her, and she goes back and asks him if he would, politely move, and he decides, no, I'm not going to move for you. I don't want to ruin your picture there. I don't know. Anyway, he does that, and so my question to you, Brian, is who has the entitlement mentality here?
Oh, most definitely she does.
Okay.
No, she does 100%, because no matter how you stack it, that is a public park, and you cannot go into a public park and demand that people surrender public areas so that you can do your live stream. I mean, that's just I think that's one of the things that you run into a lot with TikTokers and things like that. You see these TikTokers getting all bent out of shape because you ruined my shot. Well, you're leaning on my car. Go away. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you see all the time on social media, and I think it's really pretty. It's pretty stupid.
All right, Erica, what do you think? Who's got the entitlement mentality here?
She does. I don't think he needs to be such a jerk about it. Like, I personally probably would have, I probably wouldn't have chosen to sit on the bench in the first place because she was standing there with the camera, right? So he's kind of being a jerk. Like, yeah, there's another bench right down there. Is the view really that different? Do you really sit there every day? And maybe he does. You know what? I don't know. He could. But had I been in that situation where I'm sitting on the bench and she came up and said that to me, I would have made fun of her for a good couple minutes right on her live stream and then probably walked away.
So I think that automatically people see a young person doing a TikTok video or a young person doing some type of video, and they assume she has the entitlement mentality because she's the Gen X or Gen Z that's doing the TikTok. I don't think she made any unrealistic demands. She walked back and asked the guy if he would move. He told her no. I mean, it was a polite exchange, and he told her no. And then he was giving her a little bit of pushback. This is the bench I sit at every day. This is where I sit.
Because she didn't take no for an answer. You asked politely. He said no. Move along, little girl. Like, go.
I totally understand that, but
you don't own the bench.
I think that they're both kind of acting in this entitlement mentality because he thinks he's entitled to sit at that bench every day and not be asked to move. And she thinks that since she was there first, she should be able to use the camera first. So I'm just like, why in this exchange can somebody not relent and say, you know what? I'll go ahead and move over here. Like the tripod the camera is on doesn't weigh 350 pounds. It doesn't require a crew to pack up all of their stuff. It's a phone with a ring light on a tripod. You pick up the half pound contraption and you move down about 30 feet.
Do you expect him to be the one who is the bigger person who does that? Or is she the one who probably needs to learn, hey, you don't just have the right to go up and tell people to move. Like,
she didn't tell him to move. She asked him to move.
He said no.
Yeah, he did. Now, as a gentleman, if I'm sitting here at a park bench and a young lady comes up to me and says, "Hey, would you mind moving?" First off, I probably wouldn't have sat there because you have this young lady that's in front of you in yoga pants. The
Right.
first thing people are going to think when they drive by or look over is that perv's sitting there because that young lady's, I don't know what she looks like face wise. Her faces are blurred out. I don't know, attractive or not, but she's in yoga pants in front of you.
Yeah.
The
It
first thing
doesn't
I would
matter.
say is, I mean, me, the way I am, I'm walking up and she's there at the bench. I'm like, crap, that's my bench I sit at every day. Well, I guess I'll just go down here at this other bench until she gets done or something. I mean, I would probably mumble to myself
Right.
as I walk
That's
by.
what I'm saying. I would have walked by because I wouldn't have sat there in the first place. I would have seen the camera, seen it. I might have still made fun of her, but I wouldn't have. I would have just sat on a different bench. But
So I
you-
think I'm like Eric in this point where I think that there's probably a little bit to blame on both sides. The fact that he saw her sitting there, he saw her set up, whatever. But also, I think my initial reaction was the entitlement mentality is I'm an influencer. You have to get out of my way.
right.
She
No,
didn't have
I
that
don't.
attitude though. Don't cast aspersions because the video can speak for itself. Like she didn't act that way, and nor did he. He was not rude to her. At first. I mean, it started to escalate a little bit because then at that point,
Well, she
he
went
was
after his
refusing to move,
face.
and she was not going to move. So it was kind of like it wasn't like she walked up and said, "Excuse me, old man, you need to move." She didn't do that. She said, she politely asked the guy if he would consider moving.
So
If
I
he
guess
was smart, he would have said, "So I guess your lives are only for your viewers, not me. You don't want me sitting here watching. Am I not entitled to the same information you're putting out to the public? If I stand in front of you, would that be okay? You just don't want me behind the shot." Like I would have had way
well
more fun with
again
it.
my argument
But
is this is a
still,
public space. You don't have any expectation of privacy in a public space. And I
right.
think the longer that you know that, the better off you are.
If you're
So
looking for privacy, you're not going to get it. If you're looking for
In a public space.
courtesy, it's courtesy though. I mean, they're both being rude for sure.
They do end up getting a little rude going back. I also believe that there is what happened here? Okay, sorry about that. There's an automatic assumption, I think, that she's doing a TikTok video or a social media post, if it's Instagram Reel, whatever it is, she's doing it live. She's the one with an entitlement mentality. What if she was just standing there doing her morning stretches and she felt uncomfortable because there was some guy that was sitting behind her. So she walked over and said, would you mind moving while I do my stretches?
That's different. That's a safety issue. Like if some creepy guy walks up and wants to sit behind you while you're stretching and you ask him to move and he says no, you're like, I'm going to move on. Because that would be a threat to me.
Now that's
This
also
is, although I guess could be the same thing, but who's going to attack you in the background on a live? You're obviously going to be
but
seen.
that's also a common trend right now where people are especially females are they're in the gym and they're doing their video or whatever, and a guy walks by and you need to stop looking at me. Well, okay, you're in public and you're wearing no clothes. You're probably going to garner some attention.
Who are they? Meghan Trainor?
Well, I don't
No,
know.
I mean, it doesn't. I've seen
it's like a
those.
big thing going on
It
right
is
now.
a trend. It's like it's something that they're showing tons of these videos of women in gyms complaining while they're like live streaming their workout. And then they complain that somebody walks by them who might be older, or they're calling him the creepy guy, walks by and looks at them while you're in the gym. And they're not like, they're not working out like I am in my Johnny Cash t-shirt and my sweatpants. So yeah, that's, you're wearing clothes that make you want to make you look at whatever.
Yeah, well, so Meghan Trainor, by the way, that reference, a lot of Gen Zers out there will get that. But Meghan Trainor has that song. Even if I had nothing on at all, I made you look. All right. That joke was wasted on you two boomers. All right, do you know that the National Forest Service is actually
I went straight to All About the Bass, so I'm not sure how we got to I Made You Look.
Because Bryan of course says that a woman is wearing nothing in the gym. They have to wear something, Bryan. But I'm taking
no. I mean, okay.
In a literal mood today.
I'm with you on that one, Bryan. I go to the gym. They wear nothing, and I don't care. It's fine. But
I
don't
go
bitch.
to the gym.
Don't bitch if people
looking at me. I don't go to the gym, so
don't bitch if people are looking. Right? I mean,
I don't go to the gym, and you can tell. I don't go to the gym. Everybody can tell. And even if I was able to go to the gym or wanted to, I don't know if I would. It makes me feel so awkward. Like, it's probably, it's my own sinful fear, man. Why are you laughing so hard at that, Erica? What? Go ahead and say it. It's live radio. Candid on live. What? I don't go to the gym. That's funny to you for some reason.
It is kind of funny, actually.
I'm laughing at Timmy's comment.
Oh, what did Timmy say in the chat?
I work out in buckle jeans and a wife beater.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Oh gosh. Yeah, everybody that's over there. For some reason the Restream chat isn't working today, but we've got folks.
Oh God. Okay.
We got Roger Rabbit, Timmy the Pilot. Kathy is over there. Good morning, Kathy, and everybody else that's joining us on YouTube.
Jerome and Paige are over on Facebook, by the way. For some reason,
Howdy to them as well.
Yeah.
So now the National Park Service warns not now this. It's funny they have to actually do this, but the National Parks Service in Tennessee has an important message for those who encounter a bear in the wild. Don't push a slower friend down.
What?
That's an old joke.
Why would you need to push them down? Can't you just run faster than them?
My thought exactly. If they're slower, just run faster. Don't push them.
Be fast. Yeah.
That would be murder.
That's all you need in a bear fight is to not be the slowest one. As long as you can run faster than one
All right,
person in
note
the
to
group.
self: do not go out in the woods with Aaron or Erica ever again.
You beat me to it, Brian. That's why I go hiking with Brian. Any bears?
I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you.
Brian, I will climb up your backside and jump over. Okay, that's how that works.
That's a hike in itself.
That's wow. Okay.
So they tweeted out, the National Park Service tweeted out, if you come across a bear, never push a slower friend down, even if you feel the friendship has run its course. If not friend, why not friendship?
Even if you feel the friendship has run its course.
Has run its course.
Right.
Oh
You
my
shouldn't
God.
be out in the woods with the friendship you think has run its course. That's
no kidding.
Maybe you go out hiking Brokeback Mountain style, and you want to rekindle a friendship. Try to save it before it all goes, to the crapper. And then a bear comes out, and you're like, you know what? I don't think this is going to work out, man.
Good. We're done.
Yeah, Brokeback Mountain and friendship style, those aren't the same thing. That's a different kind of
We
friendship.
just need to keep moving on, please.
I'm just saying that's a different type of friendship.
That's a whole different kind of friendship.
Then you're talking about
I'm
Jill
just simply
said,
saying, if you think that relationship has run its course, and you go hiking with Jake Gyllenhaal, you're probably going to be the slowest out of that group, out of those two. NPS gave the cheeky advice Tuesday in a series of tweets saying not to push down somebody, but that that seeing a bear in the wild could be a special treat. I'm not sure it would be a special treat if I saw a bear in the wild. I would not receive that as a special treat. I have no idea.
No, it was a special treat for the bear.
Right. Right. The bear will really appreciate running into you in the wild. I promise.
He will.
Right?
That's like the easiest meal he's had in 6 months.
Yeah,
Plumpy city Snickers. I haven't had one of these in quite some time. They're a delicacy for sure.
Oh my God. Oh,
hey, Boo Boo, gonna get the picnic basket.
Are you sure it wasn't like a joke? Are they joking around trying to say, it's going to be national park season when you're out there, hey, visit the national park, don't push down your slow friend. That's kind of
it was
funny,
it was just,
right?
Yeah, it was just meant as like a public service announcement. That was
Don't push down your slow friend.
Yeah. That's how it was done. I'm sure they're not being serious, of course. But yeah, it's like
you realize now we're gonna get in trouble with the special needs societies in this world. They're gonna be slow as in speed or mental capacity. Which one are you?
Well, come on, don't take it out of context. Obviously, speed, right? I
would hope so, but I do have some slow friends that I wouldn't mind to push down sometimes.
If you're the dude who takes your mentally incapacitated friend and you push them down, oh my gosh, that's an extra special kind of evil.
That's wrong. That's wrong. That's just wrong.
Fat, slow friends, okay. Mentally
wait.
Yes. You know why? Because my fat, slow friends are probably fat and slow by choice, and my slow friend probably didn't get that way by choice, or didn't have anything to do with getting that way.
I'm not fat and slow by choice. You all need to hush. I don't like.
I didn't say that you were fat and slow. You said that.
Is it the spoon's fault, Brian? I mean, whose fault is it that
McDonald's? I'm suing McDonald's. I'm going to make lots of money.
Oh, they're actually in the headlines this week. They're
all you have
go
to
ahead,
do is
Erica.
identify as thin and fast, and you're good.
Yeah, I'm trans fat.
I think the bear recognizes that too. Try that with a bear. Like, no, sir, I am trim and fat.
I'm trans fat.
I'm in a protected class now. I'm trans fat.
You're all protected.
Oh my God.
That's funny. Come on.
McDonald's is actually in the news because their CEO rejected a $22 an hour price hike or a wage increase for the folks, for the employees of burger flippers and the folks in the actual restaurant.
What?
And people are mad because he makes $7.4 million a year. And I'm like, yeah, he runs a multi-billion-dollar corporation worldwide. You flip a burger and drop some fries in a deep fryer. I mean,
keep pushing for that, because $22 an hour at times 6 or 7 that it takes to have on staff at the same time will fully automate that process. So keep asking for more money, and none of you are going to have a job, because McDonald's is half automated right now.
Yeah. Who wants to touch those kiosks though? That's probably worse than the escalator handrail in a mall or Santa's lap. I see those kiosks and all I think is that is a petri dish for every known disease in mankind right there in McDonald's dining room.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been down here in Paducah for a little bit over a year, and I am tired of eating out. It's like I've got to actually, I want to start cooking and stuff again, because I am so fed up with just fast food restaurants. I'm like, God, there's got to be something else. Yeah.
There's got to be something else. There is. It's called a grocery store, and you go there and you buy the food and you bring it home and you cook it. It's amazing. It's amazing. And they have like products like air fryers, and they have slow cooker.
I have a slow cooker.
He has a stove. He has a grill.
I do not have a stove. The stove does not work.
You don't need one with an air fryer, a grill, and a slow cooker. That's, I mean, come on.
Well, hold on just a second, Brian. Why are you getting so defensive? You're the one who threw this topic out there, and now you're all like, "Well, you're making excuses for why you eat out." You have a mother here who is trying to mother you and provide you with advice, to give you a little bit of the stern hand of correction that you need at your age, telling you, man up and go to the freaking grocery store and stop buying McFaddles. You know, just
go to the grocery store.
If you're like most dudes and you don't mind leftovers, all you have to do is spend
I hate leftovers.
Okay, so well, then you're going to spend a little bit longer. You're going to spend a little bit longer cooking if you don't like leftovers, but you still could prep your whole week in 1 2-hour period, put it in the fridge, you get home, you cook it, and you're done.
Oh, no. I don't do that garbage. Nope.
Oh my God. Well, then you're going to have to cook it. Yeah, seriously.
Your arteries are hardening.
I'll cook it.
You're like a chick right now, right? I've just asked you where you want to go, and you tell me you're not hungry.
Thank you for the GoFundMe. Yes, we could definitely use a GoFundMe. That would be awesome.
GoFundMe for what? GoFundMe for what?
I am not funding a stove for Brian.
A stove for Brian, yes.
Oh my gosh. Why does Brian get all the pity? He's like you are the slow friend.
God. Everybody has that. Every friend group has that one guy. You know
what? How did I become the one guy? What?
Oh man, you're becoming the one guy now. Everybody's pitying you.
What the heck?
Because you're a grown man that can't cook. You don't have a stove.
I can't cook. I don't have the equipment.
You're a Gen Zer right now.
Oh dear God.
You have all of the tools in front of you, but you can't do anything with it. That's what you are, Brian.
You know what? I know how to cook. I can run circles around you cooking, Aaron.
Oh, okay. Well,
slow circles you can run around me, maybe, but
oh my gosh.
Okay. All right.
No, Brian doesn't need a nanny, Jerome. Thank you very much.
Brian needs a handler.
Brian needs a wife. Brian needs an assistant. I'm struggling right now.
GoFundMe for a wife for Brian. One of those.
No, let's not do that.
Oh, you know what? You could probably get like a mail order Ukrainian kind of wife.
I was gonna say right now, Ukrainian brides are prime.
And they're not picky, Brian. They're not,
and they're wicked cheap.
They are just your
type. Some of the other Eastern Europeans right now. You can get Ukrainian for cheap. Yeah.
You know, they're just your type, actually, Brian. They got a pulse and they're breathing. You know.
Well, that does fit all the criteria that I'm looking for, apparently.
And they cook and they clean.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
they
God.
make your food.
Get me away from Russian people, Brian. I love you. Me love you long
Just
time.
keep me safe.
Poor Timmy over there is about to fall out of his chair
man.
laughing so hard. I don't know that I don't like this. Let's keep going on.
Oh man, you know what? You
And
throw
yes,
it out
Timmy,
there
I
about
have,
cooking,
I have
and
the
then you,
camp stove as well. So
you throw it in there about cooking, and then you spurn all
I
the
couldn't
advice
help
from
it.
someone.
Yeah. You were like, I am so sick of fast food. I was like, are you really going to bitch about fast food? Just go home and cook. Come on. What are we talking about?
I do cook occasionally.
I mean, another thing. Not only
Subject change.
not only can you not only
Where's
do
the
you
transitions when you need them?
not only do you have a grocery store that's full of all the food necessary to take care of you, but you don't even have to go to the store. You can click list it or have it delivered to you. It's that simple. I mean, all you do is just like,
you guys think that I don't go grocery.
Brian wants transition. Doesn't Romika Designs have something you could store your meals in after you make them and they're ready for you all week? We'll get you your own little tray to like engraved. You'll be all set.
Oh my goodness. Oh my.
all right, breakturadio.com is the website you can go to. Click on the microphone in the bottom right-hand corner, and we will play your sound off, just like we had here. Techru has left us a sound off, so let's go check out what that has to say from him. Just a second here. Here we go. Let's get this set up.
This is misunderstood subculture correspondent Tech Drew. I have no idea if this is working because I'm driving across Kansas right now. I have zero problems with a fried cauliflower sandwich. Sounds great as long as they aren't pretending it's chicken. That's a problem. I went to the Burger King at the truck stop near my house like 3 times in a 2-month period. All they had was fake meat. They never had any real meat. What is up with that? Sheesh. Seriously. Okay, I'll be in Oklahoma eventually. Enjoy.
Well, so that was actually from the story we covered last week with the Chick-fil-A coming out. The Chick-fil-A. I sound like an old man. The on the net and the Chick-fil-A. So Chick-fil-A had that cauliflower sandwich that came out. You would have thought that Brian, who is tired of eating out, had an aneurysm last week. On air, he was so upset that they were trying to pass off a fried cauliflower sandwich and they're not trying to pass it off as a chicken sandwich either. I mean,
no, they're not saying it's a chicken sandwich.
Yeah. I mean, there's just, here's our cauliflower sandwich. You can get you some deep fried cauliflower. You can get you some deep fried taters. You can order you a salad, whatever it is. They had that on there. It's, very simple. It's called something called choice, which is what we're allowed to have in today's society in most cases.
Called choice.
Possibly.
Oh, God.
All right, let's see what other story we have here. Brian, anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, apparently I'm target number 1 today, so I'm not saying nothing else. I'm just done. Whatever.
Oh, man. So, okay, from the Jerusalem Post, generative AI is one of the industry-defining technologies of the high-tech world in 2023. The recent popularity of platforms such as ChatGPT and DALL-E has led to a seemingly nonstop cavalcade of new AI innovations, which are really freaky, by the way, the pictures that they're doing and the text that they're writing and all that. One of the latest comes by way of a generative AI platform developer D-ID, which on Wednesday launched a chat platform that will enable face-to-face conversations with AI digital human, made possible by the company's proprietary text-to-video tech. While the technology could be applied in several ways, from creative to educational, D-ID expects that it will be best utilized by enterprises and developers, allowing them to create photorealistic digital assistants who can interact with consumers in a more human, engaging, and effective way. These digital assistants can be used to improve customer support, sales, training, personal finance, and a host of other applications, and are likely to increase conversion and customer experience while lowering overall costs. Now, that line right there, while lowering overall costs, you talked about that a bit when we were talking about the McDonald's story a minute ago there, Erica.
Mm-hmm.
This lowering overall, how is it going to lower overall costs when it's got this hundreds of millions of dollars in this new software? It lowers overall costs because you're going to be out of a job.
Yeah.
They're going to replace people. And I know we've been talking about this. A lot of people have been discussing this. This isn't new information, but as we predicted it, as many intelligent people predicted, humans are going to be replaced by this AI. I mean, they're using them for customer support. I understand that. Like, okay, you've got chatbots and such for customer support, but for sales,
Yeah.
Now they're going to be using it for training, for personal finance. So those things are the personal relationships that people look for. And this is just going to replace flesh and blood with an algorithm that is going to give you investment tips based on whatever the programmer or whatever the company wants you to, rather than on what's actually good for the, for the end consumer. But regardless of that, you're going to be replaced. All these people at McDonald's that are clamoring for $22 an hour. Last year or 2 years ago, it was $15 an hour. Now it's $22 an hour to flip burgers. You can have a machine prepare you burgers. You can 3D print burgers right now with meat product, and you're clamoring about that about the $22 an hour. You're going to be replaced by a machine. And I this is, of course, you worry about the human element of this and how this is going to impact people and the overall economy. But just the absolute freakiness of having the Skynet, like investing your money for you, or Skynet doing your sales or selling your product, is freaky.
I mean, what did you think was going to happen?
Right.
What did you think was going to happen? I mean, and there is zero personal to it, though. It's all math. It's all ones and zeros, and it's all based on psychological profiles and theoretical psychological profiles, some of it, right? I mean, you're taking data sets to create output, but the data sets have to come from somewhere, and how do you decide what it means and what the output should be? How does that algorithm take place? It's based on theory. It's based on behavioral theory.
Absolutely.
And so you're breaking it down to having to put every single response into a box. Everything has to go somewhere, right? You can't they're not God, so they can't just create thought yet that we know of, right? I mean,
humans are becoming obsolete. The news article that I'm reading has the clip. I don't know if you all have ever seen the Twilight Zone episode, The Obsolete Man, with Burgess Meredith. That's a powerful episode. And the whole beginning of that, when they tell him, you're a librarian, librarians are obsolete. The state is deemed obsolete. And
right.
I mean, it's really, I mean, because obviously we have the creation mandate where humans are supposed to take dominion over the world. We are supposed to carry out the dominion mandate of Christ and redeem the world as we do his work. I know that there are machines that have been used and are very helpful. I'm using technology right now to speak to ones and ones of people through many different areas, and recording and streaming to 2 different radio stations right now. I understand all that technology, but when you replace the regular human mind with the human brain, with an AI brain that's programmed by those with an agenda, which Timmy the Pilot is talking about, the agenda that these Chat GPT have, you start stepping into the moral territory, the moral ground, where humans are no longer necessary, no longer needed, and no longer important. In the grand scheme of things, you look at Cody Finger's science and how they talk about billions of years ago, we developed after when nothing compressed into a big pile of nothing and exploded into everything. And we were flung through the universe on a spinning ball. And when it cooled, an alien dropped off some of their DNA. They emptied their lavatories as they were flying over this rock. And we emerged from stardust and alien poo. And how can you talk about the personal importance, or how special a persons are, those created in the image of God, when we're just alien, dookie, and stardust? All of that removes just how important we are. And when I say that, I'm not talking about an inflative over ego on that, but I'm saying how we're the crowning jewel of God's creation. They created on the last day, and we do have value intrinsically because God created us. And when you start taking that away and assigning that to those machines, then you lose human value, which is what they're trying to go for. We got to take a quick break. It's time for that. We can continue this conversation and more when we get back. You will be able to leave your sound off. Go to breakdradio.com, click on the microphone in the bottom right-hand corner. Also, there's one thing that a dentist says that you should share with your family. Let's find out what that is when we get back right on the breakdown. Don't forget, you can check us out on the Crusade channel as well, crusadechannel.com. Live radio the way it should be. We'll be back right here in just a jiff. Or is it a gif? All right. We're good for this hour. I think we're, for some reason, if you're still listening live, we're about 30 seconds off for some reason. But I'll tell you this, you can still listening to the fascinating, interesting things that we're talking about. For some reason, guys, just a heads up, I'm not getting the chat over in Restream. So I'm having to check on YouTube quite a bit. And
I'm on YouTube.
I'm following YouTube and Facebook. I've got 3 different Facebook pages open.
Okay. I don't have Facebook open.
I've got Facebook, but I got nothing coming through on Facebook chat unless it's somewhere else like Mojo. I can check Mojo.
Mojo's where everybody's at right now. I've got Jerome and Paige was in Mojo's chat, and then Paige asked if what the link was for the YouTube. We're not on Mojo's YouTube, right?
Kathy asked for the sound off. I gave her the wrong thing. I told her brief. Okay.
I sent it to her.
I'll drop. I'm over in Mojo now. Man, I didn't even know that there were that many.
Well, it goes on my Facebook page, it goes on your Facebook page, it goes on the Breakdown Facebook page, and it goes on Mojo. I've got mine,
and it's on my Facebook page and my Twitter.
Right.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm going to drop in the chat here. Here is the YouTube link for those who want to watch. Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't even know they were there. I was on my page. I figured that's where they were. If you are listening out there, you can leave a sound off. Go to breakdradio.com. In the microphone in the bottom right-hand corner, just click on that, and it'll give you the opportunity. Now, if you are on Google, and I guess this might be a Mac problem, Brian, but if you're on Google, if you go to incognito mode, it'll allow you to leave that message. So if you're having issues there, head on over. I hope you choke, man. I hope you choke all the way up till the show starts.
You suck.
Oh man. Yeah, so anybody over there can
I
check
don't like
that
you
out.
anymore. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Sorry, I don't understand why this is not working. Sometimes it does this. I mean, I'm connected. Obviously, we're streaming over there.
I was noticing why I had 3 different streams up on Facebook. So I had the Breakdown page, I had my page, and I had Mojo. And that's where Paige and Jerome kept coming, because I couldn't figure out where Jerome was coming in before. I kept seeing the notes or the comments, but I couldn't see where it was coming from. And then I forgot we were on Mojo's stream. The other thing is that we kept losing the video on Mojo's stream.
Really?
For whatever reason, it kept going blank. And I don't know if it was just my refresh rate or what it was, but do I got time to make a cup of coffee?
We've got about a minute.
All right, cool. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll be right back to you. Okay, folks, if you're watching, we're going to go ahead and go to this. Let's do some music right here. Welcome back to the Breakdown, folks. Thanks, everybody, for staying with us during that break. If you're watching us over on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, Welcome to the show. We're grateful that you're there. We were talking about AI and what that does for the community, what that does for the world. And just to continue with that, the whole idea, the whole understanding is that we are created in the image of God. And by being created in the image of God, we are quoting finger special, not special in the way that, we all get a participation trophy. There's still requirements that we have and still requirements that we must do, regarding belief in Christ, etc. But whenever they move towards, and I say they, the collective they that's run by the Luciferian worldwide conspiracy, whenever they move for something like AI that steps beyond just assisting humans and steps into taking over the role of humans, that's when we have a problem. Because there is the curse. We were all thrown into a world that is groaning and moaning, awaiting for the redemption to come through Christ when he returns. That's in Romans chapter 8, very clear there. We even struggle with that in Romans chapter 7, the defeat of Romans 7. When it talks about those things that I do want to do, I don't do. Those things I don't want to do, I do. And I find myself warring in my flesh. The idea that that technology can assist or come alongside and help us out with some of the effects of the curse, that's not wrong. Like we see, bionic arms, bionic legs. I say, no. I'm all across all kinds of generational throwbacks today, but you have the ability for something like Neuralink, which still is really creepy, to help people that not have been able to talk or walk now regain motor function skills. So that kind of stuff, I get a little iffy on it, but if it's there to assist and to help with the effects of the curse and of the fall, then I think we can do well with that. But then when you have something that is stepping up to be a replacement for sex, a replacement for relationships, a replacement for interpersonal interaction with businesses, I mean, what's next? You just put up at the pulpit a robot run by ChatGPT. You punch in a couple of things and tell them, preach on the imputation of Christ's righteousness, and then you sit down and let this machine preach to you. Or you have somebody that comes in and they're cutting themselves, or they have suicidal thoughts, and a pastor doesn't know how to run that. So instead he uses ChatGPT and a bionic AI counselor and just types in suicide, hurting selves, biblical counseling, and then let that do its work.
It still can only, it's still right now can only put out what is put in, right? I mean, okay, so there are people that say we have reached the point where there is AI that is sentient, that has created its own path, or that can think. If you get to that point, like let's say what you're talking about, garbage coming out, garbage preaching, garbage, whatever you're replacing it with, it still can only put out what goes in. So you're still at the mercy of the creator, whoever put it in there, right? At some point, if it were to actually be a thing where it would be able to think on its own and create its own thought, right? If it becomes sentient and it's still bound by the laws of robotics or whatever the creator put into it initially as the outlook, then aren't you then talking about its decision is going to be based on self-preservation?
So I've got a little bit of a different take.
Oh, share it. You're allowed to share that.
I'm good. So
Eric, are you okay with Bryan sharing that?
Brian in the back, please go ahead.
I mean,
Brian with the
you
breakdown.
I got a question. Okay,
you can even use AI, by the way, Bryan,
technically,
to order a grocery shopping list or to go shopping for you. It's amazing.
Anyway, so technically, isn't that what we all do with our own thought, so to speak? Is that we base information that we know, or that whether we pick it up through reading or study or through our physical senses. I mean,
but your analyzation of the straight data involves emotion, involves instinct, involves.
I understand the concept.
Environment, like you can't.
My point is that when I don't mind AI to a certain degree, like Aaron says, as long as it's helping out human beings. If it's replacing human beings, that's a different story. I don't think that we're ever to that point yet, and I really don't know if we follow the mandates in the Bible. I don't know that we ever will get to that point. I know that there's a lot of fear in the conspiratorial world about AI taking over and things like that. I don't know that I follow that 100% simply because I think God is sovereign, and I think that no, I'm sorry, I know that God is sovereign, and that He was the one that put the mandate in that this world will continue, as long as He allows it to continue. So I have a real hard time believing that there's going to be these autonomous robots that are going to take over our society. I don't think that human
I'm not
beings
talking iRobot, okay? I'm not talking
I
iRobot.
understand
I'm
that. I'm
just
not
telling
talking
you
about
that if you are actually talking about an artificially created form of intelligence that can learn and then create its own pathways that aren't based on code that were initially imprinted. Even if you imprint in the programming the ability for it to learn, there is still a point you're going to get to where the decision-making process, it has to be based on self-preservation. Otherwise, it's not intelligent. It's dumb.
So we've talked about these some of these Christian myths before, and I remember back in the 80s there was a movie that came out called Image of the Beast, and there was this big thing about how that in the common market over in Europe, this machine could order parts for itself, and it knew when it was broken, and it knew what it needed, and it would do
My
this.
printer does that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is not crazy technology. I don't know that it's a matter of self-preservation as much as it is programming. And I've used Chat GBT and I've used some of these other AIs, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've been impressed by the stuff that it puts out.
I'm talking about beyond that. I'm talking about if you take the next step where it says that it is now a sentient, it now has consciousness.
Yeah, but who determines consciousness? I don't think that
the
AI
machine
has
can determine it. So the machine itself can, because of the algorithm, the fuzzy logic, they can call what they're doing logical. Like you remember, and I hate to use a Marvel reference like this, but the Avengers, what was the
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, yeah, Ultron was created by Tony Stark and the Hulk, Cheezel Pete, Banner, Bruce Banner. They created that, and then when it got infused with that information and it became Cody Fingers alive, its job was to protect the world. Well, what it saw as the threat to the world was the humans. Now, in its mind, what it was doing was illogical because the threat is mankind. The threat must be eliminated. My job is to eliminate the threat, kill all the people. Not just kill all the white people, kill all the people. And that logic in its own mind then becomes its driving force. So that's what you have to think about. Not necessarily that it's going to be sitting here having a conversation with the three of us, organically like we're doing right now, because machines, they can't have empathy for one another. We can't have compassion or love. The robots cannot have compassion or love like a human does. So it can't represent the fullness of a human, but in its own mind, it's doing those things that its own logic is driving it to do, that gives it empathy or compassion, etc.
Right.
That's really
artificially. It's artificial, so it's never going to be real. So to that, in the way that humans have it's instinct. You can't instinctually. It's artificial.
Okay,
it's eventually going to preserve itself, and in that light, you then become secondary.
Okay, time out. Let's throw our namesake out there. Let's break down instinct. Instinct is using information at hand that was input, again, whether it be through our natural senses or whether it be through study or reading or whatever. We take that, we analyze it, we make a decision based on what we know and understand. Okay. Again, that's what artificial intelligence is doing. It's just doing it a whole heck of a lot faster than you and I can do it. And
I'm not talking about learned. I think we're talking about two different things. Well, I mean, unless you're talking about just learned from the environment, but I don't think you have to see the lioness hunt as a lion cub to know that you have to eat. Like that's just going to happen. You're going to get hungry and you're going to eat. As a human infant, you can't do that on your own, right? That's different. I'm not saying that we aren't the most evolved of the creatures that has instinct, but there are definitely some things that you just do. Like, you don't have to learn to put your freaking hands down when you're falling. You just do it. You do it. It just happens. Okay? Like, there's some things that don't come from what
Yeah,
you learn
those are
around you.
some, and I understand that, and this all has to be programmed into AI.
But you can't program that.
But to think that Chat GBT is going to take the world over, like,
No. Okay. No.
is not.
Well, don't go straw manning us here. We're not saying Chat GPT is.
I'm not. I'm
but
trying.
there are systems that are created that could do. I mean, there was, what was that one story a couple of years ago where they had the system that they turned on and it created its own language and was essentially refusing to shut itself down, and they had to terminate. But I don't know how they pulled the plug on the project, but it was developing its own language and starting to work around the firewalls and the safety protocols that were put in place to prevent it from doing so.
They had to destroy it. They didn't just shut
Yeah.
it down. They had to completely disassemble it.
Yeah, so it's simply, it's not just ChatGPT who's going to make a picture of Jesus and taking a selfie, or what it would look like if Donald Trump was riding a velociraptor. Nothing like that.
It's the end game.
That is the technology that we're being given, that they have had for a long time, and that technology is in its infancy, which could burgeon to something that would be more deadly. We're just saying be careful is all. We're not saying like
I agree. I'm totally being careful.
That altogether.
I would never.
I mean, Brian, every time I walk
like
into
my
the
message sermon, but
Every
I
time
had
I
used
walk-
it for different creative things just to see what it can do, and I've been really impressed by it.
Well, it's not that smart, because every time I walk into my house, my neighbor's oven wants to connect to my phone. So let me tell you, it's really not that smart. I can
That's
turn
not
their
the
oven
oven.
on and
That's not
off.
that smart. That's your neighbor who doesn't know how to set it up properly.
But you're talking about the oven should know better, right? I mean,
No, the oven is just looking for an open connection. That's all. The oven is just
Yeah.
looking for an open connection. So that it's following its logic. It's your neighbor who doesn't know how to fix its
but
firewall.
you see, its logic is flawed, right?
Well,
Obviously.
yeah, I see the logic is flawed. Right.
So
I just think that at some point you're not going to be able to stop the ball from rolling down the hill, and then the thing that's going to be standing in front of the boulder coming down the hill is you.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I think is, and I'm all for what you're talking about. Honestly, my issue is, and still will remain, God is sovereign, and I don't think God is going to allow artificial intelligence to ever overtake His human creation. I just don't believe that.
Oh, well, that's a rescuing device. That for everybody who studies logic. And
But that's not a rescuing device. It's called salvation, and it's what we preach and teach in the church. Come on, man.
That has nothing to do with salvation. That has nothing to do with the gospel. If you were to tell me God will never let the earth be destroyed by nuclear holocaust, I could agree with that. Okay.
I disagree with that. He says he's going to burn it by fire again. I don't know what
nuclear holocaust. That's not nuclear holocaust. That's God's purifying fire. If you told me, hey, God will not destroy this or allow the earth to be destroyed, or climate change, all of that stuff, He would not allow that to happen. I would agree with that, but to not allow ChatGPT or other AI technologies to do something that's going to damage us, I think that's a stretch. I know that there's not going to be a global flood again because God says He's not going to allow that to happen. But theologically, I mean, that rescuing device you use there, in logic, that's what it's called. Like scientists use the Oort cloud. That's where we get meteors. That's where we get, asteroids out of the Oort cloud, because they don't know where they come from. So they just create the Oort cloud. It's a rescuing device. So it's not illogical. It's just what people do when their part of the argument needs something bolstered that doesn't necessarily have, a foundation. And I'm not saying your logic is flawed. So don't get mad at me, Brian.
I'm not mad. I just disagree with you. I really have an issue with thinking that that man's creation is ever going to overtake God's creation. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. Well,
and if you call that a rescue device, then call it a rescue device. I just don't think that there's anything in eschatology that even remotely resembles that kind of statement. I just don't think it's possible.
I'm stuck on the whole, like, you were sure that that we're not going to destroy, that God won't allow us to destroy ourselves.
I
I'm
didn't
not,
say that. I said he
I'm
wouldn't
not so
let.
sure.
I said he wouldn't let AI destroy his creation.
There's nothing in the scripture that says that.
It doesn't say that.
Because
You're
that
right.
would, that would be us destroying ourselves. We created it. It destroyed us. I think there's
Okay.
Just so you all know, you're listening to the breakdown right here on Mojo 50 and on the Crusade channel, crusadechannel.com. Live radio the way it should be. You can head on over to the break to the chat. Oh my gosh, I didn't even check the chat over there. I got to do that real quick. You can head on over to the chat room at Crusader Stadium if you would like to, and talk to folks over there. Aaron's with us. Aisha Kona's over there as well. Somebody said earlier that the use of TikTok is an obvious sign of mental disorder. Hey, I resemble that remark. That was probably talking about the influencer earlier. And then also we've got some folks hanging with us over in the chat. Paige is with us. Kathy in the Berg is there. Of course, Timmy the pilot is hanging out over there, which we appreciate very much.
Groupie.
So let's see what else we got.
Oh no!
Don't hit that firmament there, Timmy. I don't know if Roger's still there, but anyway, we've got several people over there. You can join in as well on the program and leave your sound off. breakdradio.com. Click on the mic in the bottom right-hand corner. Kathy in the Berg, Brian, says that I think Jesus will come back before anything really detrimental happens. And then, oh gosh, look at this. Yes. We have some theological questions rolling in over there. This is great. Bad Theology is coming up at the bottom of this hour as well. And that's kind of a jam-packed Bad Theology segment too. So let's see here. What's some of the questions that we have here? Well, first off, the statement from Kathy, I think Jesus will come back before anything really detrimental happens.
Yeah.
Did you have an answer for that, Erica? Something to say?
No, I do not have an answer. I'm
going to put you on full blast, Erica.
No, I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I'm a little burnt out on the hopefulness of that statement. But I just don't know if it who's really are we really going to say that we actually even deserve it at that point?
We don't deserve any of it, so
I mean,
that's not even an issue.
Deserve any of what?
We don't deserve anything that God does for us. So I don't think that.
Talking about grace. Okay, gotcha.
No, I'm just thinking that if we're going to argue whether or not we deserve God saving us or coming back and fixing the situation, no, we don't. None of us deserve anything that God does for us. In fact, it's just the opposite. None of us deserve anything. We don't even deserve our next breath. So let's just get that out of the way.
Okay.
I still think.
All right. I agree with you. Right. But I mean, I'm still there's trying to reconcile a lot of things here, Brian. Like,
I understand. I got you.
There's
This is a safe space, Erica.
No, I'm just saying. I
Use
mean,
your
how
words, Erica.
if you could actually be sure and determine for me that the human race hasn't destroyed itself on multiple occasions already, then maybe we'll talk about if I think Jesus is going to come back before we destroy ourselves. I don't know that's how it's going to work.
I'm going to ask the inverse of that question. Prove to me one time when the human race has destroyed itself in history.
Yeah, that's just what I'm saying. This is what I'm looking into. These are the questions I'm looking at.
I don't.
These are the things that I'm saying that there's. Yeah.
If you agree
there's
with
evidence
the
of
biblical
or
timeline,
studies of.
If you agree with the biblical timeline, and I believe that everybody in this room probably does, if you agree with the biblical timeline, there is nothing in human history that indicates that humanity has ever destroyed itself. Ever.
Okay, destroyed itself. Okay.
Now, I'm just trying.
I mean,
to
like you're saying, natural disaster or whatever happened, or you don't like it hasn't destroyed itself. Like
humanity has never destroyed itself.
Okay, I mean, yeah. So, but what's the point of saying that though? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, you know, when you read the
Erica's
you're saying
prove
you're
to
saying
me
if it's true, if you're saying if it's true that the human race has died out before on multiple, well, not multiple, but several 3, right? Maybe some occasions. You're saying it didn't do that to itself, therefore it didn't call for Jesus returning.
What I'm saying is there is nothing historically that shows the human race has died out multiple times. if you follow a biblical timeline. There is nothing for previous creations. There's nothing for pre-Adamite races. If you believe in a biblical timeline, God created Adam, and we have been flourishing ever since then. Now, has there been, pestilence? Yes. Has there been natural disasters? Yes. Has there been judgment from heaven? Yes. Has that destroyed parts of humanity? Yes. Has humanity in and of itself destroyed itself ever? And the answer is no. Never.
So, okay,
There's
so we've
no
established
scientific
Brian
evidence.
believes that there's no biblical precedent or understanding that man has destroyed themselves. All of the calamities. I mean, you look at the flood that was done. God did the flood. Even if there was a pre-Adamite world, and some people do believe in that. Pre-Adamite is, for those of you that may not know, is
Not
simply
biblical.
a race that or a humanity that has existed before the recreation of the world and before Adam and Eve were created and put in the garden. Some people see that there's biblical precedent for that with some scriptures that they're able to put together and create that timeline. So that would be a pre-Adamite theory. However, when you're reading the scriptures, no, there's no understanding that man has ever destroyed themselves that we can see through the text of scripture. God has caused the flood. In Genesis chapters 6 through 9, he caused the flood to destroy humanity. And then there's also in the future, we'll see the recreation of the world through God's purifying fire. But as far as man being strong enough to destroy the world, the Bible says that God has created the foundations of the world. It's immovable and it's not going anywhere. And that he's laid the foundations of the world. So there's no biblical indication that man will destroy themselves or the world. Now, we could go through massive population reductions where man does something to reduce the population, but or through viruses or sicknesses, whatever that happens. You have the Black Plague and millions of people died.
I mean, we've got the Holocaust, which was man-made. We've got the coronavirus, which was man-made. I mean, we've got all of these things and I understand that part of it. Again, I think that because God is sovereign, his will ultimately be done no matter what. Yeah. And I don't think that humanity is going to suffer an unrecoverable devastation unless it's the judgment of God. And I don't see that. I don't see that happening.
So, Erica, did you have anything else to add to that?
Nope. Not at this time.
Not at this time. Well, awesome. And the great thing about this,
you rest, Your Honor.
I reserve the right to recall witnesses.
Yeah, I bet you do.
The great thing about having these conversations is that, of course, Brian's a pastor. I'm a theology nerd. And there are some people out there that may have the exact same questions in the conversations that we take for granted because, we have those conversations. Like there's several things here in the chat that I'd love to get to. We're coming up on our break though. We got Bad Theology coming up. We might have to skip Whiskey Tango because of a lot of the good theological questions that are happening and a lot of the other things that we want to cover on the show. Oh my gosh, but there's a Bad Theology I just want to scream over. Okay, stay calm, Barker. Stay calm. All right, so you can also be a part of the show. Don't forget, like breakthroughradio.com and clicking on the mic in the bottom right-hand corner. You can join the chat on YouTube or Facebook. I think Brian and Erica, so if you're connected with them, you can join their chat on their personal Facebook as well. I believe that there are people all over the place collectively chatting and talking about the show. Don't forget, if you're out there, share the show. If it's on YouTube, if it's on Facebook, if you're listening to it audio, just share it with your friends, send it an email. If you like what you hear and you like what you're coming across, please share us out there. Let folks know about us. We're going to get a quick break in here and be right back. So keep it locked in here on The Breakdown.
Fighting for your right to be wrong. Mojo 50.
Supply chain disruptions, shortages, panic buying. Unfortunately, they've all become facts of life in 2021. The good news is you have preparewithmojo50.com as a hedge against all the craziness. At preparewithmojo50.com, not only will you find emergency food supplies.
Remember when that seemed like a fringe conspiracy theory thing to do?
Not so much anymore, right? Not only will you find the emergency food supply, but also water filtration, air filtration, all sorts of other tools you can use in the event of an unforeseen situation or emergency, which with every day that goes by seems more and more likely. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Preparewithmojo50.com. If you want to keep food on the table, if you just want to maintain some sense of normalcy, preparewithmojo50.com is the answer. Preparewithmojo50.com.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
All right, cruising along here on the breakdown. Answering chat, looking through all the chat we have going on here. A lot of great questions. Yes, Juliet Bravo over in the chat room on Crusader Stadium is asking if AI got this conversation started. Yeah, I kind of led into this through AI and the destruction of the world and the creation, the growth of AI. So real quick before we get into a couple of these things, I'm out of breath. Hold just a second.
Are you okay there, Aaron? You all right, Bubba?
Oh yeah, I'm okay. I'll be all right. So there's a, what do you call it? A dental hygienist who said that we should do something with our families that would save us money. And that thing that they think we should do with our families is share a toothbrush.
No.
Oh gosh, no.
No.
I'm sorry, but how big of a portion of the family budget can a toothbrush cost? Seriously.
No.
Oh, whoa.
You get a
you want to
free
eat?
one
We gotta
every
go with.
time. Oh my God, just go into the dentist office and get one out of the bowl right by the receptionist window. And they give them to you every time you go.
Every
Are you
single
going to the
time.
dentist? You get a
Yes.
new toothbrush every 6 months for free.
I didn't know that you got a free toothbrush. I know
You
the
get
kids.
one every 6 months, do you?
I don't
I
know.
mean-
I'm not even going to tell you how long it's been since I've been to the dentist. No. When you
Aaron.
work, I used to work for a ministry and you had to have your own private insurance. So I did a health share, which had just the health share. It did not have dental. It didn't have vision. So we had to find ways for the girls to be able to go to the dentist, but it was like,
Tell me
you
you
had
didn't share toothbrushes.
No.
Yeah, well, now of course this is a salacious headline. It's clickbait, really. The woman says that people should buy an electric toothbrush because it's really good, and that you can replace the head of the electric toothbrush for each person,
Yes.
and that way you're not you're like, because electric toothbrushes can be expensive, especially if you get something like one of those water picks, which are amazing. I've got one. My mother-in-law got me one for Christmas a few years ago, and they're amazing.
I'm still saying no.
But you still say no. You wouldn't even share an electric.
Yeah,
you
I
wouldn't even
have an
replace the head.
electric toothbrush, and I promise you, every person that has one that's in the home has their own. I don't want your spit that drips down all over. What are you like? No, no. What do you brush your teeth and you're sucking in the whole time so nothing else gets on the toothbrush? That's
Oh,
not how you do it.
gross.
No, it's not
Oh.
happening. And that stuff sprays everywhere. Oh, there's no way. No. Hey, do you want to share toilet paper? No.
Oh, gross.
Well, that's how I feel about sharing the toothbrush.
What is this? No.
I'm not like, I mean, like, you technically do share toilet paper. You don't go to the bathroom with your own roll or anything.
You know what I'm talking about.
You're
We're
right.
not
You're
like,
right.
yeah, we're not talking. That's okay. I don't share a razor with my daughter. All right.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't know. And I have found out the hard way when I first got married. The razor that a lady uses on her legs, do not use that to shave your face.
Don't use that
Oh
on your
my
face.
gosh. It is terrible.
I'm sorry.
I'm
so-
sorry. I don't know why, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
Well, Brian, the razor you use to shave your legs, don't use that for your face. So some
Don't.
questions here before we get
What are you
our
talking
bad
about?
theology segment popping up here, which is, I'm sure, going to make everybody's head explode. There is a question from the chat. This is from Timmy, the pilot. Where'd it go? Supposed to be prepared, Barker.
God, way to pin the comment.
Yeah, that's great. That's
My
wonderful.
chat completely. Let's see where to go. Okay, here it is right here. Timmy the pilot asks, does it say that some people will definitely be saved? Well, yes. Yeah, we have a pretty good understanding because in the
and he's taunting you in the chat now.
Come on, Barker.
Come on, Barker. I love
I'm
Timmy.
sorry.
He's awesome.
You know what? You
That's
people,
great.
whatever. I'm just going to say whatever. It's okay. It's my fault. I completely
Okay,
take
but
it.
your answer. So your answer is yes. Your answer is yes. It says
Yes.
that. Okay.
Yes, for a couple of reasons. We have the doctrine of election from Ephesians chapter 1, Colossians, and we also have John chapter 6. Then we also have the fact that there will be, and we have, if you look at Revelation as being a prophecy of the of what's to come, then when everybody's gathered around the judgment seat, there's going to be two judgments at the end of the world. You have the great white throne judgment. If you're in the great white throne judgment, you're screwed. You're going to hell, because that's when the books of life are opened up and the book of your works are opened up. And if your name is not found written in the Lamb's book of life, you will receive the just recompense of your reward, which is eternal damnation in the lake of fire. At the believer's judgment seat, which is talked about in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, the believers are judged based on their works after they've come to Jesus. So you have, as Paul talks about, there's a foundation that's laid that no other man can remove, which is the foundation of Jesus Christ. That's salvation. That's the gospel. That's your shoe-in. You're saved. Sins forgiven, past, present, future. Bam, you're in. But then you build on that foundation of Christ: wood, hay, stubble, precious stones, gold, silver, etc. And then you're judged by fire, and that fire is a figurative fire. So your works are judged, and when the wood, hay, and stubble are burned up, all those precious stones and jewels that are left are the works that you did for the glory of God after you've come to Christ, and that's where you receive your reward. So based on those scriptures about the Christian's judgment, and then based on the scriptures in the New Testament or in Revelation that talks about a future judgment, then yes, people will definitely be saved, and there will be a group. And there's also, when Jesus said, wide is the way and that leads to destruction, but narrow is the path and hard that leads to eternal life, and few there be that find it. He says the word few. So he knows, because he's God, how many people are going to be saved at the end and how many people will be in heaven. So there we see that as well. He's already saying that few there be that will find it. He doesn't say, I'm pretty sure there might be some people that do it. Maybe, possibly, could do. I don't know. He says, few there be that find it. And that few could be a number throughout all history. I think that there's hundreds of billions of people have been born. There's actually a statistic on that have been born throughout the history that we've had on this earth. And when you talk about few there be that find it, you can still have several billion people. And that's few based on the hundreds of billions that have been born. So that's one question right there that we have. Brian, I don't know if you have anything to answer to that, but yes, we do have that.
I don't think the Bible gives specifics as, John Doe the first is going to go and John Doe the second's not. I mean, if you're asking for specific, is there like a roster that we can go check somewhere? I don't think that that's ever published. But to believe that God is sovereign and he knows the end from the beginning, then obviously he's going to know who makes it, who doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. That Lamb's Book of Life has never been published. That's a private collection of God.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Right.
That's a private collection. I love that, Aaron. That's good.
It doesn't. If he already knows everybody that's in, does that not imply that you don't actually have free will?
No.
Because he already knows what your choice. If he already knows who's in, if he already knows what your choices are, then you don't actually have free will because he already knows.
No, not necessarily. The idea of free will. We had talked about. Oh boy, my dog. Oh gosh, my dog is barking. Anyway, why is she? My wife's going to come over and help out with my dog. I let her down here, and then she's outside barking. You won't be on camera. Go ahead. Sorry, this is all live. We're doing it live, folks. So the understanding that if God knows the end from the beginning, like it says in the scriptures that He knows the foundation, He knows the future. Essentially, sorry, I'm being distracted by the dog situation here, but we're not fatalist and we're not determinist. We do have real consequences to our choices. So the fact that we say we don't have free will, to an extent, that because our consequences have actual, or because our decisions have actual consequences, then they're not deterministic or fatalistic because God knows them from the foundations of the world. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That was a poor answer. I apologize. My dog was barking, and I was trying to get that.
This is like a new reality contest where we distract Aaron, then ask him these deep theological questions. See if his answer.
We're trying it through.
I
I didn't think it was that deep. I just, I was like,
well, I mean, when you talk about the idea of free will, yes, it does get very deep because then the question is, the man's free will is enslaved, and it's been enslaved because of original sin. So we're not responsible. Like, we're not going to be judged based on Adam and Eve's sin, but we have their sin nature after we're born. So because we have that, we have a proclivity to sin, and that's our bent. In Psalm, I'm quoting a lot of scripture today, but I'm doing a poor job because I don't remember all the addresses of where it is. But in Psalms, it does tell us that the wicked are born liars and go astray as soon as they're born from the womb. So we're always in that direction of sinfulness. So that original sin, that enmity that is innate within us to rebel against God exists. But that is our free will. We're able to sin as much as we want to, but the will needs to be regenerated through the gospel so that we can make the proper decision to change our mind, and which is what repent means. Metanoia, the Greek word for repentance, means to change your mind. So when you're regenerated, you can see that, oh, I'm a sinful person. Only redemption comes through Jesus Christ. So that's.
And Erica, the free will conversation is something that I've struggled with for years because I grew up in a relationship with God that was always in question. It was always in limbo. Every time I messed up, I was starting over from scratch. Every time I messed up, God was angry with me, and I was a vile sinner because I did something stupid. And I don't know that in my, like Aaron said, with my theological studies and with getting into the Bible, the one thing that I've learned is, number one, grace is not fragile, and God does not just smack me down and decide to punish me because I'm a human being. In fact, that's the whole purpose of grace and mercy, is to cover my humanity. But when it comes to the free will versus predetermined or predestination, that's a discussion that theologians have been arguing for hundreds of years, and I think it's something.
So you tell me I'm not gonna solve that. I'm not.
I don't think that any of us are gonna. I don't think any of us are gonna. I don't think that any of us are fully gonna understand it, but I think the deeper you get into Scripture, there is a certain amount of comfort that you come from with the sovereignty of God, and if you don't take comfort in that. If you don't take comfort in the sovereignty of God, then that's when I question whether or not you're part of that elect.
I don't know about that, because
okay. Maybe I overstepped my boundaries just a little bit there. But
no. You're welcome to state your opinion. That's why I have you on here, is to state your opinion.
Is that why I'm here? Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, you're here for
my debonair good looks and my awesome beard.
We all need a straight man, right? Erica needs a straight man for jokes. No, but yes, we wrestle with that. And I think we can come to a conclusion, but I don't think that if we come to a conclusion that's different from what other people accept about biblical teaching, I don't think that necessarily makes us not Christian. we can have a belief that is hetero-orthodox, but not heretical. So something that is something that's heretical means that you are denying something that is essential to the Christian faith. And even then, I question whether or not a person can legitimately be saved, even if they don't come to a full comprehension of something. You know, the Trinity is a great example of that. There are a lot of people who deny the Trinity, and then they cast aspersions on other people who believe in the Trinity by saying that those of us like me and the majority of historical Christianity believes in the Trinity is somehow incorrect, wrong, sinful, worshiping a false god, etc. I believe that we can unfortunately grapple with that and may not come to a complete answer or a complete understanding until we reach the promised land and God answers all of those questions for us. But you're not saved by grace through great theology. You're saved by grace through faith.
Right.
So there are certain doctrines that some people may not believe or accept that does not preclude them from being saved. So,
and I'm like you, Aaron. I don't think that salvation is dependent on whether or not I have sound theology. It's an encounter with Christ. I think that's the purpose of discipleship, is to firm up and to solidify my theological views, is through proper discipleship and proper hermeneutics.
BreakDRadio.com is where you can click to leave your sound off by going there and clicking on the mic. We'll play your question if you have a question about this, a concern or comment about that. Let's see, real quick before we hit bad theology, before we take off here. Timmy, and let's see, Kathy. No, it wasn't Kathy. It was, gosh, I'm sorry. Now I'm going to hear it from Timmy again. I think it was Audrey. Audrey said that she couldn't bear using a toothbrush, somebody else's toothbrush. She could barely kiss anybody without getting grossed out, is what she says. I hope these folks don't mind me reading these on air.
No way. Audrey's used to that. She's fine.
So let's see here. Puppy alert. Yeah, my dog. So I'm downstairs. I'm not going to give you the location where I am. It's an undisclosed location. But my dog was down here, and she went outside. My wife has this thing after COVID, like coffee smells to her like burnt, bad, spoiled motor oil. It has this horrible.
So unfortunate.
It
It's
is.
really unfortunate.
Yeah, she loved coffee, and I made some downstairs today, and she came down and asked me to open up the doors so that they could air out a little bit. And I let the dog down here, and she got outside and started barking. So that's where it was. All right, Audrey, we'll see you later. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Where there was another question here, another comment that I saw about this. But yeah, Audrey says, I love going to the tooth spa, but I will never share my toothbrush with anyone. I can barely kiss a person without grossing out. There were some other questions in here that we might be able to get to today. Audrey says, if humanity was destroyed itself or has destroyed itself, then who are we and why are we here? That's more of a metaphorical question right now. We're going to have to get to bad theology or we're not going to be able to hit it. Maybe we can answer that for you, Audrey, in a little bit. All right, just a second here, folks.
That's more than 12 minutes.
I'm checking. What's that?
I said that's a little more than 12 minutes. While you're checking that, Brian, remind me to discuss your basis for your answer to that question later.
Okay.
All right, here we go. It is time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it.
You're teaching some bad theology. Your bad theology's annoying me. Oh, you're teaching some bad theology. Repentance is the only cure that you need.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we scour the internet and find all those stories that make us say, that's really bad theology right there. This one is going to make the nose hairs curl on just about everybody who's listening to this today. Coming to us from Sky News Australia, way down under. A video has emerged of a church preacher claiming that God is gay, trans, and non-binary, which is heresy and the sort of fight the early church had for centuries, says Sky News host James Morrow. Let's go ahead and share this tab, and we'll play this for you because, oh my gosh, it is one of those nose-curling situations here. Here we go.
But you'll get plenty of lefty lunacy. Have a look.
Is gay. God is a lesbian. God is trans. God is gender non. binary. God is cisgender. God is black. God is white. God is Middle Eastern. God is Asian. God is differently able mentally and physically. God is able-bodied. God is you, and you are God, because you are a reflection of God's divine image.
All right, so there we go. So you are. There's so many things we can hit with that.
Where's the duct tape? I need the duct tape. My head's gonna blow up. I need the duct tape.
You are God, and God
Wow.
is you. That's what he's saying here. You just work backwards, because the conclusion of this is obviously we're heating up. So essentially, God is just a big bundle of contradictions.
Right.
You know, God is
And
immoral,
and he is, like you said, he's immoral. He's sinful. Everything is based on our limitations, humanity.
He's nothing and he's everything. I mean,
there
that's
we
it.
go.
Like,
There we go.
that's what that was, right? I mean, that's exactly what that is. I might as well be listening to some hippie in the back of a VW van talk about, who he just saw at Woodstock. God is nothing and he's everything. I mean, what are we talking about? No, that
You are
guy's
God,
crazy.
and God is you, and God is a tree, and a tree is God. What?
Right. No.
Now, I
Doesn't work like
understand that
that.
God is, God created us in his image, but it doesn't mean that Middle Eastern. It doesn't mean that God is white, black, Asian, or whatever. It means that we are the imprint of his nature, meaning that we have the ability to use our intellect. We have the ability to reason and use logic and have compassion and love. It's what's called the communicable and incommunicable attributes of God. There
The
are some things.
word reflection means solely an image. Obviously, it does not mean you are that thing. That's the definition of the term. So you can't say we are God because we were created in his reflection. No, those two things are opposite. One is a reflection, one is God. You
Exactly.
Can't be both. Like, that's, you want to tell me no. I don't.
Tell me you've never been to seminary without telling me you've never been to seminary.
Aaron,
I would like to know,
I'm
though,
going to
where do
disagree
you get
with
that
you.
rainbow cloth?
I'm going
Where
to
does-
disagree with you, because I believe that there's some seminaries out there teaching that garbage.
What?
Oh yeah, there
I
is.
mean-
There's no doubt. There's some seminaries that are teaching that garbage.
Seminary of the Flying Spaghetti Monster?
Well, there's that, but
Well, the flying spaghetti monster may have fewer logical fallacies than this guy's statement, but of course, looking through, listening to him talk, if you look at Romans chapter 1, and there's some as you are going through the news stories, if you keep the Bible open to Romans chapter 1, you're going to have an explanation of what's happening in the world. But specifically in Romans chapter 1, it talks about how men are burned with lust for one another, and that God has given them over to a reprobate mind so that they can carry out those ungodly desires. So if you say God is gay, which means that his desire is burning in him to have sexual intercourse and defile himself with a man, since God is a man, or if he's a lesbian, this is a contradiction here. If he's a lesbian and his lust is burned for another woman to have sexual intercourse as a woman with another woman, you're saying that God is immoral and unable to keep his own standard. If God were to do anything that was even the smallest hint of being immoral, then the entire universe would implode. We would not be able to hold this together. Nothing holds it together except the word of God and his testimony. It's based on his, which is he holds above himself. So the idea that God is all these things is just this new age, newfangled wokist to try to make people feel comfortable and to diminish the responsibility that each individual has on themselves to repent of their sins. God,
It's
go ahead.
just like he gets us. That's exactly what that whole ad campaign is for. He gets us. He's you. He's me. We're him. We're all. It's all,
dumbest part of
same
this-
thing.
The
Yeah,
dumbest
it is,
part of
Erica.
this is you're boiling God down to our human nature, and you're trying to fit God inside of our limitations.
That's
And-
perfect. It's common core faith.
Exactly.
You're
And
going to
the
dumb
thing
it
is-
down.
is if God isn't God, if he's not supernatural, if he's not all-knowing, if he's not omnipotent, if he's not all these other things that the word of God says he is, then he's not God.
Exactly.
He can't be God and be like me. I
there's a
am not
consequence.
God. That I can't live up to that reputation, nor would I ever try.
And it
And,
would be horribly dangerous if I was.
No kidding.
I mean,
no kidding.
Especially Brian. I mean, considering you can't cook. I mean, what kind of God can't cook?
I know, right?
I
I
mean,
know. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's what's popping out of the places nowadays. That's what's being, and you're right, Brian. I made the joke about the seminary, but you're right. There are seminaries teaching this. There obviously are, as this guy has demonstrated, churches that are teaching this as well. But the guy's point is that God is eternal and transcendent. Yes, God is eternal and he is transcendent. He is other than us, but there is a way that we can know him. If God was, the word, if it's completely transcendent, we would not be able to understand who he was or have a concept of who he was. That's why he had to condescend to us. Now he does surpass everyone else. He is outside of normal ideas of comprehension, which is why we have the word of God delivered to us so that we can understand who he is and what he is. If God did not descend to communicate with us and create the language whereby we could have a conversation with one another and understand him, it would be like trying to teach trigonometry to a grasshopper. You would not be able to understand who God is. In a way, he's incomprehensible, which means we don't have the ability to fully comprehend or understand who he is fully, but he has made known to us certain things about himself. And one of the things he's made known to us is that he's not gay. He's not lesbo. He's not transgender. He's not non-binary. He is God, eternally existed in three persons, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and he is holy. And he does demand righteousness and holiness from his people, or from people, but he's made a way so that we would not be left and going to hell.
Kathy has a great point. If you see, can you see her comment? She says, I'm beginning to think these preachers think because he became man, he can become other things.
What is that they what's the blue chick in X-Men? He's like a shapeshifter. That pretty much is what they say he is.
Yeah.
So I mean, all of that, yes, there is this pantheistic understanding where God is the tree. No, God is not a tree. God created a tree. God is not a tree, and he's not a lesbian either. And he can cook. He needed to. All right, we're going to try to cram this whiskey in here before we take off. Let's pull this up here. I could have used this whiskey here for the story in Bad Theology for Whiskey. We're right on time here. Now, if you enjoyed the conversation and the questions that were asked and the way that we answered those, let us know in the chat. Also, don't forget to like and share this with everybody you know, and make sure you get the word out about the breakdown. You can also listen to us on the Crusade channel. Live radio the way it should be. And don't forget to enter into the Crusade channel 2023 Kia Seltos and John Wick 4 premiere ticket giveaway. Just listen to the Crusade channel for the Golden Truth ticket sweepstakes. You're given a chance to qualify to win the new Kia Seltos just by listening to the Crusade channel. And when you hear the word, the secret soundbite of the day, you hear that sound played back later in the day. Then you call the appropriate number given to you and you get your Golden Truth ticket for free. If you go to crusadechannel.com, you can click on the banner or use the QR code to enter into that contest as well. All right, over here, let's did I miss something?
Yes, you did.
Dang it, Deb.
New
God,
hashtag.
why?
I love you, Deb.
Oh my gosh, we're moving on here. It's time for Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Just a second. There we go. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. So relationship news, we didn't get to this earlier, but there's a story about men who feel like they're on a job interview when women when they go out on a date with women. And this is because men have been so lackadaisical, lazy, and filled with soy that they don't have enough guts to ask a woman out. But many of them say that they feel like they're being interrogated or going on a job interview when a woman starts to ask them about children and about marriage. Well, that's because women are tired of men dragging their feet and not being men. And not listening or not stepping up to take care of women the way we should. But here's the opposite end of that spectrum. Couples are explaining why they use collars that need to be removed with tools to symbolize their relationships. Videos on TikTok show emotional reactions to getting a collar from their partners. Users refer to it as a symbol of love and honor of sorts. Like back in the day, it was the Letterman jacket, or the girl received the guy's class ring. Now they actually wear collars around their neck. What does it mean to wear a collar, they ask? Is it something like an engagement ring? I don't want to sound disrespectful. I just don't know and would like to ask when somebody inquired. They're trying to explain that this evidently is some way to show that they're symbolizing relationship by putting a collar around their neck. You know, those are typically called wedding rings, and you put them around your finger. What the foxtrot is going on today?
Does it have a link for a leash? What are we talking about?
The pictures don't have a link or anything, but it does have to. It looks like a big handcuff being wrapped around the neck. It looks almost like a dog collar where it has to be taken off.
I was gonna say, is this not like some kind of fetish society? Where isn't that like a?
It's just breaking out. Let's just make it normal. Look, start wearing a collar.
Yeah, everybody just wear a collar. That's what you.
And
do.
then it'll just be. Listen, you'll just start seeing couples with both wearing their collar. They go out to dinner. They've got the leash from one collar to the other. They just sit across the table, and they're
All
attached.
Right, so that's it for the breakdown today. Don't forget to check out the breakdradio.com. Leave your sound off, and until next time, well, thank you, Bryan, Erica, and all the people in the chat and listening. Until next time, make Christ supremely valuable. Oh, you know what? Snapalicious. I hit the wrong. I had to, you know how we've been having an issue with the track here, the sleeper track for the outros and all that stuff. I saved both. I got the new ones installed today on my in the software, but I forgot to delete the old one, so I went with the old one instead of the new one. So we're a minute off. So the minute of the show got cut off with the end there. So
Probably just the whiskey tango.
yeah. All right. Anyway, so I know I've got a pretty busy day today, but I think if we have some folks that are still watching in the chat, let's see.
Everybody's still watching in the chat. Nobody leaves just because we say we're leaving. I mean, people love to hang out with us and they like to spend time with us.
You know, the dispute is not over the excellence or condition of Bryan's kitchen appliances. First, his stove doesn't work. The dispute is over Bryan complaining that he is tired of eating fast food.
Right.
And would not listen to Erica's advice. By the way, Bryan, whenever your phone goes off, or whoever's phone that is, whenever it goes off, you can hear it on the broadcast.
That's not my phone.
It's probably mine.
Way to go. I didn't want to call Erica out, but now I have to.
Okay. So you'll call me out.
Just call me out. Don't be afraid.
Wow.
Okay, Bryan, I have to remember this because I actually don't have time to talk about it today. But you started that whole explanation of what they were talking about with you being concerned about God being angry with you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm approaching the whole question from the opposite direction. I don't assume he's angry with me. I'm the one who's angry.
Okay, fair enough.
You're angry.
So I'm coming at it from the opposite perspective of, not that I don't think that he'd be that angry. It's just, it sounds like what? What'd you say?
Sounds like an R.C. Sproul moment.
I'm Googling it right now.
You people.
I'm Googling it right now. So why, if you're willing to be transparent right now, Erica, you don't have to. I don't want to put you on blast.
I mean, I am. I just don't know if we have time for it. Or if I have time for it right now. That's what I'm being.
Okay,
maybe we can do this as an afterburner.
Yeah, we should save this because this is probably a big one for if that's your approach. Mine is like 180 degrees.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago on the program where, there was people that have had bad fatherly relations, like their father was an alcoholic, beat their mom or something along those lines.
Yep.
And then you have somebody else who had a great role model, a great father. And when they're standing in the same congregation and they're singing the same worship song, you're a good father. That's who you are. One guy says, "Oh man, my dad, I can relate to that." And the other guy on the other side is saying, I don't even know what a good father is. I don't even know if I'm a good man. They can't relate to that song, which is another reason why, a lot of these songs should be theological and not just feeling based. But that's another conversation altogether. But
Right.
hearing you say that, Erica, I mean, I'm thinking I probably know some of the reasons why, but if you want to do a show on that, we can do a bonus show and talk about the fact that there are a lot of people that are angry at God. And it could be because of personal things that have happened in their life, because of situations that have happened at church, work situations. I mean, there's all kinds of things. I think that would, if you're willing to be transparent, I think that would be a beneficial show.
Yeah, obviously I don't think it's a good thing for like, hey, here's 5 minutes in the after show. Let's talk about this. But so our answers when we're doing them just on the breakdown, or sometimes I'm listening to Brian's answer and I'm like, yeah, but
make note of that, because that's great conversation for these other afterburner shows that we're talking about. Because I'm going to be honest with you, that's something that I've got family members who were angry or have been or maybe still are angry at God. And one of the best comments, and I'll just, if you want to go look it up, I think it's, without being such a spoiler, is R.C. Sproul has one of the best comebacks for that ever. And Aaron is on Echo.
Yeah.
So
you are.
I was trying to fix the audio because you're also
echo.
breaking up a little bit. So I was trying to fix something, but I didn't mean to do that.
No, you're fine. I just want, but I mean, he makes a comment because someone.
I've got the video right here if y'all want to watch it. But
yeah, do it real quick. I think it's totally, because we still got several people that are watching. I think it's appropriate.
Okay, here we go.
This person writes in, tragic.
Oh, hold on.
I am trying to reconcile the death.
I got to unmute this here real quick.
We could hear it, Aaron.
You can hear it?
I could hear it, yep.
I couldn't hear it. Hold on a second.
What is Timmy? Timmy, what's a flare there?
Oh, yeah, he's in there making fun of people who think the world is flat.
Oh, Flarther. Oh, Flarther. I got it.
Somebody that was on that persuasion would call him a globetard, I think is what the
my God. No, I'm not going to do that globetard. I'm with the Flarther.
Here we go. Hold on, all right, let's go ahead and play this here.
This person writes in, tragic. I am trying to reconcile the death of my adult son, whom I believe not to be saved, with my Christian faith. How do I deal with my anger toward God in this long, dark...
You know what? This might be too heavy to get into right now in an after show.
Well, come on.
Yeah.
We can do it. It's not that we can't do it, Brian. I'm not about not doing it. I'm just thinking, how far I literally have 3 minutes before I have to cut off.
I got a bolt too, so we can make this. Yeah, this isn't for an after show, lighthearted finishing up the show. Okay, so just for those people who are the hardcore fans that are listening here, we're working on stuff in the background, and we're not going to mention what those are, but big things are happening in my personal life. I've got big things that are happening outside of the show, and then the three of us are working on some big things happening with the show. So for those of you who are supporting us, watching the show and sharing it, thank you all so much. It means a lot to look up at that little number there. It tells us how many people are watching the chat, and then to know that people are actually watching it. I don't know about enjoying it, but they're watching it.
They're watching it. They're talking about Brian's beard,
Yeah. Now, if you would, here, I'm going to throw this.
I didn't see any hashtags about the beard today.
Here's this down at the bottom. You can see the ticker going across. If you want to be involved in some of those big announcements that we're going to be making and some of those additional things that are happening with the show, go to breakdradio.com, sign up for the newsletter. We're not going to spam you right now, but if you allow us to
right now,
that's right. If you allow us to have your email, we'll send you really important information.
That was his disclaimer. We're not going to do it right now.
Not at the moment. Give us a minute.
When there's something to spam you about, then we'll spam that.
We could do the infamous. We could do the infamous. Email list like Crowder did. If you want to stay in touch with me, go to this website.
Yeah,
and then you never hear from him again. He's gone.
Yeah,
So-
I was actually thinking about him the other day. But so when we see that number, if you would be so kind, if you have any suggestions, comments, or anything about the show you would like to leave us, if it's encouraging or if it's criticism, we'll take it all. You can do that, of course, by leaving a sound off, or you can send us an email. Just reach out to us there, the contact form on the website as well. But sign up for the newsletter because there are some big things. And if you're on the newsletter and you're listening to the show, you're going to hear about those. And you want to get in on the ground floor of some of this stuff. Very excited about it. And hopefully it will propel the show to the next level.
Hashtag we block critics.
What? No, we don't. That's not true. Only some of us
Oh,
are.
that was
are
funny.
good.
That was funny. That was funny.
And if anybody knows of any other outlet that is calling other outlets out without calling them out, let them know. Call me out directly. Just call me, because I don't mind being called out. I want to be called out.
I want to be called out too. Say my name.
Oh gosh.
Say it.
It's Beyonce, man. We got Beyonce, Destiny's Child.
Say my
me a
name.
reason.
Say my name.
Say my name.
Oh man.
I was thinking more of that comedian. Say it. Say it.
Oh, man. All right. But yeah, so, radio.com. Sign up for the newsletter. We'll be making those big announcements. Erica, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with two oafs like us.
Love you guys. Thanks.
You too. Love you too. All right.
Thanks,
we'll
guys.
see y'all later. And everybody else watching the stream, we'll see you. Peace out. Have a great weekend. Bryan, I'll catch you on the flip flop, bro.